Can you hear me? Hello. Hi. So, so I believe most viewers probably know who you are, but for those who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from? How many hours do you have in Vermintide?
Hours in
Oh my gosh,
Vermintide
Cor, I
right
had
now?
you muted.
Ah, that's a problem.
Let's try this again. Yeah.
Alright. I'm Cor, I'm from the Netherlands, and I have like 3,500 hours in Vermintide.
Just
That's a lot of
2,500?
wasted hour. Yeah, just 3,500.
Wow,
Just,
okay.
just a very small waste of time.
So, what mods have you made so far?
I've made Spicy Onslaught and nothing else.
Didn't you make Twitch Plays Vermintide?
And that's not... Well, that's not a mod, but I guess you could call it a mod.
Right, so what were you playing before Vermintide? What was like your gaming history, and then how did you find this game?
I mostly played strategy games, like the Age of Empires series and the Total War series. And then some FIFA and some single player games on the side. That's about it. I never played a first person game for more than 30 minutes before Vermintide. So it was a bit of an adjustment. And I don't remember how I found Vermintide. I think I got it on sale somewhere because I liked the Warhammer lore after playing Total War Warhammer.
What was?
And then
Sorry.
yeah, and then I started playing it for yeah. And I think I remember dying 3 times in my first game because I didn't understand the heat mechanic.
How was that adjustment like for you as someone who really didn't play first-person shooter games?
Well, it took a long time before I moved up to champion, that's for sure.
What is a long time?
I don't know, like 300 hours.
Okay.
And a bit more until I got to legend and stuff. But yeah, it was rough at the start.
And what made you stick around?
I don't know. I didn't really stick around for, like, I played it for, I think, like 600 hours, and then I just dipped for a while. And later I came back. Mostly because I was interested in challenging stuff. They had released Forges of War at some point, so I wanted to beat that. And while I was doing that, I also started doing True Solo to improve. But then Legend True Solo got boring pretty quick, so I started looking for harder challenges, and then I found Death Wish True Solo.
How did you find kind of these mods? Like, how did you stumble across them? Like, okay, I went from Legend, now I'm gonna play Death Wish.
I think I saw that. I think I saw it on Reddit. The Death Wish True Solo that Bio posted. I think I saw it there, and then I thought that looks interesting. I wonder if I can beat that. And then I tried.
And then you've never left.
Yeah, and then I got stuck.
How did you get introduced to Onslaught and the Death Wish Onslaught? Because I know you were playing it in 1.6 as well, I think.
Yeah. I think I joined Squirrel Squad and I saw people looking for groups in Death Wish Onslaught stuff. And I think it was after I'd beaten my first Death Wish True Solo that I wanted to do some challenging stuff that wasn't True Solo, because True Solo is a bit depressing.
Okay, that's fair. So I remember I won't say my first interaction, but my first sight of you was showing up in Squirrel Squad and asking for advice on your first Death Wish True Solo, and then knocking it out in, I don't remember, it wasn't that long after. So how did you go from that to over 3,000 YouTube followers?
Well, I liked uploading my stuff, like my achievements or ones that I thought were good, because I liked looking back at them. And I did that for a while, and nobody watched. And then at some point, I just thought, this stuff is cool. Like Death Wish Onslaught, that's just cool content, and more people should play it. And I figured that if you just title it Death Wish Onslaught, War Camp, Witch Hunter Captain, something something, most people don't know what the fuck that means. So I just decided to clickbait it by putting big numbers and big damage and big stuff in the titles and thumbnails. And that worked. And now a lot of people subscribe to my channel.
You played the algorithm.
Yeah, apparently I'm the first modded person that figured out clickbait.
So what would you say is, right now, kind of outside of modded content, the main theme of your channel? What's the one thing you want people to take away from it?
Challenging content, being beaten in a generally non-cheesy way is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you go about creating things like from, you know, you have your gameplay, like, this is a bill hook gameplay, this is a weapon thumbnail, to, okay, this is, I'm going to do guided run kind of commentary, to tier lists? Like, how do you decide when you want to do educational versus kind of showcase?
I usually do educational stuff if I think I have something to say
Mm-hmm.
that could be valuable to people. Yeah, and I usually just do showcases because it's way less effort. Like, I have to actually be motivated to teach people something if I'm gonna do any of the other content. And it's also mostly that there's a severe lack of, I don't want to say good, but practical educational content on YouTube, in Vermintide especially. So I thought I would give something there.
So when you pub, do like people like recognize you in game now? Because if I pub, people are like, oh, I know you, you're EXAN, but it's not because I'm a Reddit moderator, it's because, oh, you play with Core.
Well, I've played 2 pubs in the last 6 months, I think, or maybe
Okay.
in the last year. And in one of them I got recognized, so I guess half the time I get recognized.
Okay, that's totally fair. All right, so I have some clips here that you sent me. So let's talk about Spicy Onslaught. I can get this playing. Yep. Okay. So, what is it? How did you get to it?
Well, a lot of the times when we were like playing, and then we were like, well, that's a spicy amount of stuff, or that's a spicy situation. And I figured at some point I got a bit bored with just regular Death Wish Onslaught, and throwing deed mutators or spawn tweaks on top of it didn't lead to the organic experience that Death Wish Onslaught normally provides. Like, there's a certain flow to the gameplay, and that doesn't really exist if you start tweaking with those things. So I wanted to, you know, modify Onslaught itself to make sure it still has that Onslaught experience. And then I wanted to make it so it wouldn't be occasionally, oh, that's a spicy amount of stuff, but it would always be a spicy amount of stuff. So yeah, that's how I came up with the name.
What would you say this experience is like? Because, you know, we're watching it on screen right now, and now I've experienced a little bit of Spicy Onslaught and still have trauma from when we walked into like 40 monks and 40 storm vermin, but I'm turning that corner, I'm still terrified. But what would you say this experience is like?
It's very oppressive, especially the specials. Like, you don't get a break, ever. There's always stuff up, and there's always a lot of stuff up. And you really have to make a conscious effort to push at certain points in time, because otherwise you just get stuck in one area forever. And yeah, now that I've played it so much, I'm starting to get used to the pressure, and it's starting to feel less tiring. But when I first started playing Spicy Onslaught, I had to really call it quits after 2 hours, because your brain just starts to mush after a while because there's so much going on.
So, what does Spicy Onslaught affect? So compared to Grimlock's Onslaught and Ice's Onslaught Plus, how is this different?
Well, there's more of everything. but especially compared to Onslaught Plus, like Onslaught Plus compared to Onslaught is mostly a step up in elites, elite density and like ambient density and trigger difficulties. But Spicy Onslaught is mostly the biggest thing you feel at the start is the increase in specials because it's a lot more than you're used to on Onslaught and Onslaught Plus, because Onslaught Plus doesn't modify specials at all compared to regular Onslaught. So this is a very big step up in that department. And I would also say the hordes are very elite heavy, especially Skaven. Like Skaven ambushes feel very oppressive if you get like 12 storm vermin crawling out of tree holes around you. The only thing Spicy doesn't modify is triggers. So well, mostly there's like a few small changes, but they're not very impactful. So you still have one boss, you still have the regular size patrols, but it's all the other stuff that's tuned up to 11 basically. And the events are mostly modified in a way so that they're still, you know, you can still recognize them as the Onslaught events, but I made it so they are much more focused on not giving you a break. So you can't clear a horde, do your objective, and then fight horde again. You just have to do objectives while you fight hordes.
How many specials are we talking?
We are talking about 11 or 10, depending on area, and timers that are... What are the timers? They're like half the normal timers. They are 20 to 45 compared to the usual 40 to 70.
Okay, and in how many duplicates can you get?
You can only get 3 duplicates. I didn't want to push that too high.
Okay, because 10's not high enough.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you do 11 specials and you put duplicates high,
Right.
then things can get a bit obnoxious if you get like 6 rattling gunners or 6 packmasters. But if you put them lower, then you will basically have all kinds of specials up all the time, which leads to more diverse gameplay, I find. But I don't know, that's just an opinion.
So, who would you say this game mode is for, and how does one start going about learning the strats for this?
Currently, I would say this game mode is probably for like 12 people tops. Because it's a bit out there. But well, if you're in a very unique position of being very bored of Onslaught Plus and are looking to step it up by a lot and don't mind wiping for 2 hours in the starting area of any map, then well, do I have a game mode for you?
I remember when you first threw me in it, and you're like, we're gonna try something new, and we were just starting in Bell over and over again, and I went to EXAN, and I'm like, I hope Core's not mad that we just stayed in the starting area the whole time, and EXAN was like, no, that's just spicy.
Yeah.
Oh, when
I think
you...
it's...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you first created this mode and you were in the starting area over and over and over again, were you thinking, wow, this is great? Or were you like, maybe I overdid it?
I thought it was great, but I got feedback that I might have overdid it a bit, overdone it a bit, because my original special timers were a little rougher, because I think it was Blow. I asked for what should the special timers be, and Blow thought he was funny. Put some very dumb numbers in there, and I just took those numbers and went with it. So the first version was a little extreme, and I tuned the specials down a little afterwards.
Would you say this is intended to be played with Kata 3 and Deathwish?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I designed it. I think you can play it without it and make it maybe a more manageable experience. But it is designed for Kata 3 and Deathwish. As much as you can design something that's supposed to not be beaten.
Yeah, I remember one of the more memorable streams, one of you was streaming is Find It with Persh's Deathwish. What was that like?
that was too much. That was so much. I think that was even, I don't remember for sure, but we did some of it with the old special timers as well, and that was it was too much. That was really hard stuck in the first area of any map forever. I think we managed to make it to a second area once, and that wasn't clean at all.
How would you say composition changes from, you know, the more, I guess now we're going to call them more casual Onslaught modes. How does your composition change?
Yeah, compared to the stuff babies play, you need like proper special sniping. Like on Onslaught and Onslaught Plus, you can get away with one special sniper if your bolt is very good. If your bolt battle vision is very good, he or she can solo all the specials. And usually you're fine if you have two competent special snipers. That doesn't really work on Spicy. Unless you're playing very specific maps. But you need 3 for sure. And probably 4. Otherwise the special pressure is oppressive. There are exceptions, like you can do the pit with less. But that's mostly because you're just holding in houses, so you don't feel the special pressure as much. But yeah, you really need the special sniping, that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is that you probably also need a lot of armor damage to deal with, well, maybe not armor damage, but definitely elite damage to deal with the amount of elites in the horde, because you need to kill them before the next one shows up, otherwise they keep building and you run into problems. But yeah, definitely a less viable career, so to say.
So, I guess the thing is, if this causes so much pain, and you know, you can only do it for say 2 hours maximum, why would you subject yourself to this almost, I guess it's every day now I see you playing with your group, and what made you decide, oh yeah, more specials is the way to go versus, you know, playing something like, you know, Vanguard or send in the next wave?
Well, after having played Spicy for a while, I can play more than 2 hours without mushing my brain. But the main thing was that at some point people get so good at sniping specials and staying on top of them that it gets manageable pretty easily, and increasing elites and all that stuff is a decent way to increase difficulty, but I feel like specials also have to go up, like everything just has to go up. Otherwise the balance is a bit out of whack and you just load up on a certain type of damage. Like Onslaught Plus has become very anti-elite focused, and the comps that are optimal just like focus very heavily on just dealing with elites very well. And then you need 2 special snipers max and you're fine. And that doesn't work on Spicy, and I'm happy it doesn't.
Would you say this difficulty is beatable without a battle wizard?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. We're pretty close to beating it without a battle wizard, I would say. It's just we have to figure out some strats for the map, but like we can make it to third trigger, so that should prove that it's beatable. The next question is it beatable without a Sister of Thorn and a battle wizard? And I'm not sure about that one.
Oh, right now we're watching a little bit of this Blood and Darkness, and you just looks like you just finished off the ogre in that first event. What have you changed in events?
The biggest thing I have changed in most events is make the horde, the wave timers much tighter, or the wave, not only timers but also kill requirements. So what this means in practice is that usually when you kill a wave in an event, you usually have like a bit of a break, like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. I made it so waves start spawning before the other wave is done, basically. So you don't get a break, ever. And sometimes I added bosses to events where hold strats were too strong, and other stuff to maybe mix up the usual strats a little bit. But it's mostly more stuff and more stuff faster.
Now, does it keep in things like the boss triggers from Onslaught Plus, where there's 2, or did you limit it to just 1 boss per trigger?
I limited it to just 1 boss per trigger.
Okay.
I felt, and this is just my opinion, that double bosses leads to rewarding burst boss damage too much in comms, and burst boss damage is already very viable, and it just forces you into more of that. And I'm not a big fan of that. And I also think
Isolator after you, I'm sure he'll have something to say in return. Well,
oh, I'm sure. I'll just ignore him, dude. It's fine. Yeah. I also think triggers are mostly already fine, and what I've felt is that with Onslaught Plus, a lot of the difficulty is based around the triggers and managing the triggers, and in Spicy it's less so because the rest of the map is just much harder. And I like that more than the map being decided by 3 points where you have to play well in certain spikes. I just want a consistent difficulty throughout the whole map.
Oh my god.
And then what do you see, like, what is your hope for the future of the mod, whether it's, more people playing or even what do you intend to do when you beat all the spicy maps?
I think once I beat all the spicy maps, it's time to return to deathwish streaks. But I don't know. I mostly made it for myself, to be honest, because I was looking for a challenge. But if other people that are bored by current endgame content and are looking for something a little spicier, also get joy out of spicy, then that would make me pretty happy, I think.
Okay. Is this difficulty public? And if so, where can people find it and leave you feedback?
Yes, it's public and it's on Steam. If you look in a workshop for Spicy Onslaught, you should be able to find it. I can probably also post a link in the chat. And feedback, it's probably the best if you just send me a PM on Discord or Steam if you want to share something feedback related.
Alright, so I'm going to use this time, I've got like 5 minutes for some Q&A. So, Duke Raven asks Core, which do you think is tougher, Spicy or 200% no blessings Twitch mode? You might be muted.
Yeah, that depends on the timers, I guess. If you put the timers on 1 on Twitch, it might be harder. But I don't know, generally Spicy is gonna be harder than anything you find on official. So yeah, I can't say I have too much experience playing 200 Twitch, no blessings though. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Spicy is harder.
Okay. I have a question. Is it true that Havoc is now missing his ledge jumps?
Yes, Havoc is dumb. I think he has played too much Spicy and his brain is turning to mush, and he is starting to lose the ability to perform basic actions. You might have to replace him slowly.
Are you sure it's not, you transferring your jumping skills?
I haven't failed to jump in years. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no room to talk there at all. Alright, so finally, where can people find you?
Well, I have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I occasionally upload 6-month-old runs there. And I also stream on Twitch twice a month, maybe. Twitch is Core97 and YouTube is just Core.
Alright. Cool. Anything else to add?
I hope the Netherlands win today.
Alright. Thank you so much, Car. We're gonna go speak to Grimmalot.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Alrighty. So that was Core and Spicy. I will say that I don't have any clips to show in the background of Empowered, So it's just going to be my face and Grimmelak's voice. These are still kind of in development mods, so not much gameplay out there yet, but let's get Grimmelak here.